Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Coconut Chats. To all those listeners who have been with us for so long, we can't thank you enough for your support, your feedback, and all the suggestions you've given us. Thank you so much. And for those people who are listening to us for the first time, we welcome you on board and we hope with all our hearts that you will be loving whatever we produce in all of our episodes. This episode is very, very special. So we would like to have you with us in our journey moving forward. Today, we are talking about something that's socially, mentally, physically, you just name it. It's very, very relevant in all the aspects. And this is something that is, I feel, has affected the millennials most of all people. Like, this is something that is so common these days that people just don't even, think twice about it. So, today we are talking about separation. Today we are talking about emerging successful after a broken marriage. Yes, that's what we're talking about. And I'm super, super excited to be having a wonderful guest speaker, but we'll come to her intro in a bit. Around the table, I have with me Harita.
Hi everyone.
And our guest speaker for the night is Miss Indu Nair. So before I let her speak, I have to say a few lines about her. A quote about her is she wore her scars as her best attire, a stunning dress made of hellfire. Wow, that's a very impressive quote, Indu. So our guest speaker is Miss Indu Nair, as already said before. She is a successful entrepreneur and an ex-corporate woman who has achieved tremendous success in both the fields. Indu is the proud founder and owner of Indu Diva Wearable Art and has a global base of clients around for her artwork. And I suggest all my listeners to go check her site for it. Her stuff is just amazing. On the other hand, Indu is a stellar example of someone who's also emerged like the proverbial phoenix from a toxic and an abusive marriage to build a safe and beautiful world for not only for herself but also for her child. Neither had it stopped her from dreaming big for herself and her child. Needless to say, Indu is every millennial's inspiration. And on that note, we welcome and thank Indu for agreeing to share her story with us and all our listeners. Welcome, Indu. How are you doing?
Thank you, Chris, for that lovely, warm, and beautiful introduction. I am so super happy, proud, excited, delighted to be on your show. And thank you, Harita, for being there. So I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Healthy in today's times. Good health
Wonderful.
is a very big asset. Healthy and safe. We've been indoors for about 8 months, but yeah, all good.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have been active online, that's been a good thing too. It's worked well. It's worked in my favor. So yeah, the digital journey all these years has finally showed us what it could be, capable of paying off very well too.
Yep.
So
Thank
yeah,
you,
I'm
Indu.
good.
All right. So I'll not take much of your time and then quickly hop into the discussion. Starting with the thing that how has this separation or this divorce from that bad relationship shaped your life in general or shaped your identity post marriage or post when you came out of that marriage?
Chris, so this is a $1 million question. I think for most married women around the world, I think irrespective of ethnicity, marriage is a very big milestone, in our lives. And a very, somebody very senior in the corporate world, she has said that the most, important decision you will take about your career is who you choose to marry. So I'll
Yeah.
just put a little bit of context about, how the marriage was and how separation actually helped me find my identity. I think the marriage, of course, as I said, it was abusive, toxic. It was bad. It was bad at many levels. And I was a very traditional Indian girl, and our views of marriage, our ideas of marriage are very based on what we see of our parents, our relatives, what we see around us, society. Generally what we see around us. We really don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Of other people, parents. Yes, I mean we kind of know. I mean if there's a cold war, there's a cold war between them, and that's about it. But parents, I have not witnessed this kind of stuff. And I think we are influenced by Bollywood as well. So,
Mm.
you have certain notions that marriage is very romantic, and you have your life partner, and and it's for keeps. These
Yep.
are all
Yep.
deeply conditioned into our head from a very early age. So I think my thoughts and views were very tied up with this whole marriage thing, that I am a married woman and I need to be to look after my household, my husband. I mean, everything is in my hands. The entire household is in my hands, and I didn't have a sense of that I am a partner in this whole journey. Marriage is a partnership.
Yes.
Okay, it's a collaboration. And you are a partner in it. You are not solely responsible for the whole thing. So I think after separation, that's where your question comes in. I actually got my sense of identity as somebody who's very independent, who has the courage and the confidence to be very independent. Somebody, who's capable of standing on her own feet. Because I saw my equations with the outside world were very good. I was normal. People were normal to me. They treated me with respect, kindness, courtesy. At work, I had always done very well. So, with my neighbors, with friends, I was just very normal. I mean, people treated me very
Yep.
normally. Nobody was disrespectful or cruel. So, once I separated, I discovered a world which was very different, from my
Yep.
married world. And I had the courage and confidence to stand on my own feet. I also developed over the years to, developed a sense of agency, to stand for things that I could stand for, that I
Mm.
believed strongly in, to put my foot down on things that I didn't want to do, where I felt it was wrong, wherever I felt a little outraged, or violated a sense of
Yep.
space,
Yep.
certain the protocol, stuff like that. People keep doing because they think you're a woman, right? The patriarchal ways
Yep.
of society in
Absolutely.
India, unless you're really very conscious of it, you can get taken in and you can fall into the trap. So I was wizened a little bit, so I was able to develop my sense of agency much better, stand up for myself, and have the courage and the confidence present to the world the way I am. I didn't have to dump down myself anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was also I was also able to fight for other girls. That's, I think, a huge
Yes.
change I saw in
Yes.
myself. If I saw someone facing a bad deal, I had the courage to fight
Stand
for
up
that.
for her. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think it all comes from that chain reaction, Indu. Like when I have suffered something, I don't want the other person to go through the same suffering, right?
Yeah.
On that note, I'll quickly just pull up some stats. I was just going through some stats, and it said that in 2018, it was recorded that India has the lowest divorce rates. India has 1% divorce rates, which is like every 13 out of 1,000 marriages result in separation or divorce. And they've also stated the reason as because India is so deeply rooted in arranged marriages, families coming together, it's just not the two individuals. So even the article mentioned that this low number is due to all the whimsical reasons. These are not logical reasons. We have to stay with the person not because we love the person, but we are made to stay with them. And on that note, we're so glad that you are a woman who's broken out of the stereotype, right? You've made a mark for yourself and for so many women out there. So, Harita, before I move on to the next question, do you have any thoughts or questions for Indu on this part?
Yeah, so I guess personally speaking, I can't relate to this on a personal level because I've never been through a divorce, but just a few things that came to mind while you were speaking and when Chris gave those stats. Um, in regards to the low divorce rates that India has, there's low divorce rates, but I would be interested to see where they mention how many rape cases there are in marriages or how many abusive marriages there are, because as we know as Indians, we come from a society where you just don't get divorced. You
Yeah.
stick it out no matter how bad it is. So divorce rates might be really low, but just like you said, Indu, you don't know what actually happens behind closed doors in people's houses, right? So there could be wives and husbands that are living marriages from hell, but they just don't want to get divorced because they are worried about what society will say.
Mm.
A few things that came to my mind was, you know, I've got a few friends that have been through divorces, so I guess that's the best way I could relate to this. And I guess, it must have changed your personality so quickly, and it must have changed what you value in life very fast. I guess being a woman growing up, going into your 20s, it's always most women's dreams to get married and have a nice family, a nice house, nice kids, and then all of a sudden that changes when you're separated and your values in life
The
change.
dream shatters, so to say. The dream just shatters like glass.
Yeah, and it's up to you to decide if you want to fall apart or if you want to rise above it, if you want to make your career your priority, or, if you have kids, then your kids become your priority. But it's up to you if you let your divorce break you or make you, right? That's what I could think of it. And also from seeing my few friends that have gone through divorces, they've got to the point where, they made their career their focus. And some of them have since remarried, but those few years that they were divorced and single, they just focused on their career, their friends, their hobbies, but their whole personality changed through it. So they are the thoughts I
Yeah.
have on how a divorce would change you, I guess.
Sure.
It's only natural that a personality changes, right? Because incidents do shape up, for better or worse. They shape an individual.
Yep.
Where Harita left, I would like to pick up from there, Indu. So we were talking about career and profession, and now that we are living a middle age, how did this separation, or the effects of the separation, if I have to word it that way, what effects did it have on your professional life?
Real. Yeah. So, during marriage, my career certainly took a back seat in terms of, I had to refuse promotions because promotions meant, though I was on the fast track in the corporate life, but promotions meant additional responsibilities, a little more travel, larger teams. And I had to refuse because my husband was very unhappy about it and did not allow me to accept promotions. So I had to refuse. Also, traveling to different locations for work was not accepted. Training programs which I had to attend, residential training programs were not, I was not allowed to attend them. You have management development programs, right?
Yeah.
Which are for the employees, for young leaders, but I wasn't allowed. So during marriage itself, career really took a back seat, and every opportunity I was getting, and I was getting opportunity because obviously my seniors thought I was talented and bright, and she's the one who can take on the role, she's the one who can like max it, she can slay the problem. But because of this at the back end, the personal, the domestic front, I had to refuse a lot of stuff. So that's the context. But what happened was once I came out of that, I was free, from this kind of restriction. So it really took off like a rocket. And I had to resume my career because I was on a career break when I separated. Uh, so when I resumed, I stayed with my parents. My baby was being looked after by them. So I got support, in terms of childcare. And that was a very big factor where I didn't have to worry about the baby when I went to work. So ultimately, when I resumed my career, I could focus, on my job and give it my all. And I really worked like a tigress, I would say. I went after my work just like a tigress, and I sunk my teeth into my work. And I think my colleagues, or my ex-colleagues in the various companies I worked with, and my ex-bosses and senior leaders, I think they will certainly vouch for it. Because I was very passionate, about my work, and I was very proud. I did it with a lot of pride. I mean, it was like my ownership, right? Yeah, so I was able to focus better. I was able to look at work uh, in a much more holistic way.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. It's something that's given me financial independence. It's given me connect with educated people around me. I got a lot of recognition in terms of awards and promotions and incentives and what have you. Various incentive programs in the company. So I think career definitely did very well after the separation because I was able to focus on it. I
Yeah.
got the freedom and the space to
Exactly.
focus.
Mhm.
Uh, got childcare, with respect to my parents handling the child. So these were two very important factors that helped facilitate the career growth. So I got international assignments. So I went out of India. So that's the kind of opportunity I got in my career. And my seniors, they were actually they would say that nobody looking at you. Though very few of them knew that I had this personal crisis at work. Nobody really knew except the head of HR and my boss and just a couple of seniors. But they would say that nobody would say, looking at you, that you have such a big crisis behind you, and you just emerged. I was still going through it, but there was still a litigation for the divorce, which was a long and litigated divorce process. So I was still going through it, but my seniors would say that nobody really would say, looking at you, that you are going through so much of crisis in your personal life. Your work just does not reflect any of that. In fact, you probably work much better. You're able to think and think of solutions. Put so much quality into the work. They were just commended. So that's how my career got positively impacted, I would say, after the separation.
Just a quick question, Indu, before I move on to probably Harita and the next questions. You said that you were refused to take promotions or take trips
Yes.
outside while you were married.
That-
I just want to know what was the reason of refusal? What did he say to you that, oh, Indu,
Okay.
why?
So the words used were, you can't do an overnight trip. I'm like ad verbatim. Why? Because you're a mother, you have a small child. So I said, but you are the father,
Yeah.
and you do overnight trips as a professional. Why can't I do an overnight trip if the company demands? It's not like I am wanting to do it for myself. The company demands it at this position, and that's a professional requirement. So then the response would be that you have to tell the company that you cannot go because you're a mother, you're a married woman, and you have responsibilities. So it was as bizarre as that.
Yeah.
And then I did take examples because my family has educated women. Even his family had educated women. So I would take examples that women would take off to the US and work on software projects, on-site projects, outside India for a month, for a month at a go. And I was like, yeah, but this one in my family, she's gone off to the US and she's saying 1 month and she's got 2 kids. So, so then the educational caste system comes into play. So I would be told things like, oh, but she's from like IIM, IIT, or something, So I was like, yeah. So if she's from a very privileged educational institution,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I cannot complete my work the way my organization works. So this is very bizarre, the way this whole thing panned out. I'm just giving you an example of one conversation. But there were these millions of conversations that we had in our 7.5 year marriage because I got a lot of opportunities, career opportunities, and even otherwise. But the response would always be like this: okay, you can't do a residential training program for which I was cherry picked, mind you, from among so many employees. We were, I think, hardly 20 who were cherry picked for it. It was a young leadership program or something. So I wasn't allowed to attend and stay back in the night because it was compulsory residential. So what was the reason? No, you can't stay in the night. It's a hotel and you can't stay back in the night. Like, but it's a five-star hotel, and there are so many women traveling from other cities. I lived in Bombay. The
Yeah.
hotel was in Bombay. There were women traveling from Gujarat, Delhi, and
Yeah.
Calcutta, Bangalore, and they're all married women. So I was trying to make my point through that you're behaving very unreasonably,
Exactly.
and this is very unprofessional as an employee of the company. If the company has mandated a certain training program and has given me the recognition, I ought to be able to attend and contribute to the training, like learn from the program as well, contribute my inputs for the organization I'm working for. And I remember it was a very big deal. I wasn't allowed. I had to come back at like I think after the program, I had to come back at I think at 10 in the night or 11 in the night, all alone, mind you. So yeah, I'm giving you a couple of examples, that I can recollect, which I hope will help you understand.
Yeah. To me, see, I had kind of thought before speaking to you, I had kind of thought going through the divorce might have stalled your career because you've got all this personal stuff going on and a young child, as well as trying to juggle a job and not trying to let your personal life affect your work life. But after talking to you and hearing what you said now, it's like it was the reverse, and what you said about your ex-husband not letting you go on work trips, even though so many other women are doing it and women in your family as well, it just seems like he was just very possessive. He did not want you out of his sight during work hours because he doesn't know who else is also on that work trip with you. He doesn't know if there are maybe some other men at the hotel as well through the company, the conference, whatever. And it sounds like when you were trying to compare other women in your family that were getting these type of work trips as well, like him bringing up where that person did their university degree has no relevance. When you're working in a job, it doesn't really matter where you did your degree. You're working at company A, that cousin that you might be comparing to works at company B. Well, you both did a degree. Who cares where it was? It sounds like he's just picking very petty little things to try to make you feel guilty. And then the thing about having a young... Gaslighting, that's the word. Yep. And the thing about guilt tripping you, oh, you've got a young baby, you're a mother. Because again, in our Indian culture, the mother has to be with the baby 24/7, but the husband can have his career, have his friends, have his nightlife, whatever, And that's what it sounds like to me. So it really sounds like breaking up with him was the best thing you could have done for your career, because there's now no one telling you, no, don't go on that 1 month trip, don't go overseas for that conference. Whereas now it's just you motivating yourself that, yep, I've got this opportunity, I'm taking it, especially because you've got your parents that can help with your child. You don't feel like you're leaving your child in unsafe hands while you're gone. To me, it sounds like you really made the right move if he was stopping you.
It's just not career, I think. To me, on a holistic level, if I see it, it's stopping a whole individual, stopping a whole lady or a person. These men, they forget one basic fact, that every woman is raised up in a certain way. Every woman is educated these days. And even if you have 1% of uneducated women, you can't stop their life. And this is something these men need to be told out and loud, and probably their mothers too. So that is something we'll get on later. But Indu, I'm mindful of the time. Yeah, sure. Go on.
I also want to gently correct, if I may do so. So, Harita, what you said in the beginning is possessiveness. It was not just possessiveness. Possessiveness can be at a healthy level too. It was toxicity, and a desire to control and dominate and squash, another person's growth, which I think is so unhealthy. You cannot do that. You cannot squash somebody else's growth. I mean, she has got growth on her own merit, right? You cannot put a spoke in the wheel and you cannot dictate her growth. That's her job. That's her talent, her merit. She's getting it on her own. You have not provided it to her.
Exactly.
And she's not depending on you to get her professional recognition. So you have no stake. I think it's a fundamental right for a woman that if she is getting her recognition on her own merit and her own talent, nobody else, not her father, husband, no family member, no one should dictate terms, as to what project she should take or what she should do. I think no, it's a big no-no. So, this person was very toxic and very controlling. So there was a power trip. It was definitely a power trip. And this kind of saying no and, this desire to kind of just keep me captive and not grow, came out of that desire, to just squash me.
Yeah. No, I understand fully what you're saying. It's like it's deep in the mind. It's a sickness in the mind to control the person. But I'm mindful of the time, so what I'll do is I'll move on to the next two questions in a way. So I'll probably be clubbing the next two questions so that you can answer them holistically. So you have a child, right? You have a child, and I'm sure you're now being a super mom. So while you were going through this phase, how did the equation with the child and the father change? And also, how was the society around you reacting to your separation all this while? What was going on there in that space?
Okay. So, question number one is the child and father. See,
Yeah.
I really did not prevent my son from meeting his father.
Mm.
His father had access to him. He did visit the child when he came from the city that he was residing. He was in Bangalore at that time, and we were in Calcutta. So he did come and visit the child. He had access to the child, and he met the child. So my son knew who his father was. You know, he knew. He spent time with him. They would go, restaurant, malls, do fun things or whatever. They would do their stuff, and I'd probably go and drop him in the morning, picking up in the evening. And he would do a weekend types in Calcutta. So my son knew his father definitely. Yes, as a mother, I felt somewhere as a mother, I couldn't give him that, like a traditional setup where dad and
Yeah.
mom baking cookies on a Sunday, and dad is playing with the boy and doing soccer in the backyard. And I couldn't have that kind of setup. So personally, I felt very sad for my son, but I tried not to show him. So I tried to kind of do the best I could. So that's as far as the father-son relationship. Over the years, I think it is developed. Father and son have a one-on-one relationship. Son goes to visit, spends time. They do all the fun things. Yeah, and his father and I, we do talk about my son's studies, career. We
Yeah.
functionally we do speak as co-parents. That yes. Now coming to society, so when I was separated, I was not very worried about what society would say because I was desperate to get back to my career, to to have a firm stronghold back, on the family finance, have a cash flow, a flow of income is very important because I had a son to raise. And I had retired parents, so I knew that I have to get back and
Yeah.
scramble back on my own feet. There's no way out. So that was the first step. So that having done that in like I think in a month I was back with a job and things were fine. And I somehow I got very positive vibes from society. Nobody seemed to question. Nobody taunted me. Nobody even asked me anything. I think they just understood that something's wrong. Like if a married daughter is coming back with a baby, there must be something. But nobody really asked me, and people were normal. But after some time, when I started getting recognition, I bought my house, my own house. I bought my car in a very short time after coming back. So I think people then started really sitting up and taking notice that she's really a go-getter. She's doing things by herself,
Yeah.
all on her own. And they saw me traveling, coming back from the airport late at night, leaving early morning at 4 o'clock for the airport. So I was like all over the place, working very hard. And the women would admire me, openly admire me, saying you were really a rock star, and wish we had this. We had started working when we were much younger, and we chose not to work. We chose to look after our babies, but we wish that we had your kind of spunk. And I said, I had no choice. I don't know whether it was spunk or not, but it came from a space
Yeah.
of really no space.
Mm.
So yeah, so we laughed about it. But yeah, this was kind of stuff I got from women. From my relatives, surprise, surprise, I developed a one-on-one with a lot of my female relatives because they saw me in a very different way. They didn't see me just as a cousin or a young girl or just a mother, but they saw me as a very, very tigress-like woman, like blazing fire. This is a girl who will take no nonsense. Um, she's filed the papers for divorce. She's hunted for the right lawyer. She struggled so much. She's doing everything right, and she's very sorted. And yet, I was very friendly, no bitterness, no arguments, and I was a very friendly, happy-go-lucky kind of person generally.
Yeah.
While all this was happening too, so people really saw, the person that I really was on my own. I think they saw me for who I was. The men, especially in the society, apartment complex, the elderly men, they were very proud of me. They were like, wow, you're really something. We would wish all our daughters, were like you. And yeah, even my male cousins, I think they also, male members of the family, I think they also felt very proud of the person I had become, the struggles and the battles that I had fought. Um, So yeah, I think that's how people started look. So in a way, I started looking at myself through very different eyes.
Yeah.
So I felt the battle, the struggles, the negativity, everything was worth it because I had, it's like you are saying something to the world that I'm not going to take nonsense. I'm not going to take abuse. I don't deserve it. My son deserves a much better life. He doesn't deserve a negative household. He needs stable, a stable,
Exactly.
loving environment, which his grandparents are more than happy to provide. He needs a strong mom who will be no nonsense and teach him to be no nonsense. Interestingly, one last thing, I also have raised my son. I'm still raising him. He's 19 now. I've raised him to be, irrespective of gender. I mean, doing chores and stuff, irrespective of gender. So today, if there is no helper in the house, if there's no cook in the house, he knows that he can rustle up like a basic stuff, like a
Yeah.
sandwich
Yeah.
or instant noodles. Something he won't starve. If mommy is not in the house, he won't starve. He's going to do it. And if somebody doesn't come to clean the house, he will clean it. Laundry, he's very capable of doing. So I have raised him like that to lay the table, to fill the water bottles, keep them back in the fridge. He pretty much he's like the grocery, vegetables, and shopping for grocery and vegetable shopping also. He's pretty much up the curve. So we have an Excel list, and then we keep filling it every month. And he's a millennial kid, right? So he takes very well to Google Sheets. So we have it all on Google Sheets. So if any women want the sheet, I'm ready to share. So we have rice, dal, potatoes, we have everything in the sheet, and we keep filling up the amount every month. Yeah, so that's how we manage. And I think when my son, if he has to live alone, which he will eventually,
Yeah.
studies or work, I think he will do quite well. He's also very adept at handling admin of the house, like electrical repairs, plumbing, and he can call a plumber and get the job done. And he can call and give me a code, like, Mama, this is what he's saying, and you think it's okay. So if I'm in a remote place, I can coordinate. But yeah, he's quite capable of doing all that. I'm very proud of that. Very proud of him.
That's a super job you're doing, Indu, and not because he's going to live in hostel one day, because I've lived in hostel. Most of the hostel life is spent around, like, things come to you. But more importantly, when he marries a woman,
Yeah.
he will be that pillar
He
of
has a part.
support.
Mm.
He'll be that supportive partner and not the dominating partner that you
Yep.
cook for me because I don't know and I have taught not to cook. So
Mm.
you're setting that example of a modern mother, not just a woman. So you're doing a
That's right.
great job as a mom too.
Operate with a sense of entitlement.
So,
Yeah.
all right, in the moving to the last question before we finish up, and probably this is like a closing statement, if you will. Lot of girls are going through this process these days, right? As Seema auntie in Indian matchmaking said that marriages are broken like biscuits. That statement stuck to me because somewhere she was true.
Yep.
So, what would be your one-liner message to all those young ladies or older ladies who are going through or even considering getting a divorce or getting separated? What would be your one-liner to them?
One liner would be don't take shit from anyone.
Nice.
That's it. Don't take shit from
Mm,
anyone. It's not worth it. Nothing is worth it.
yeah, yeah,
But yes, um, be aware of, you know, be aware of what you're doing. Have your support system around you. Make sure you have support around you because once you separate, then you are alone. After having lived with a man and having that shelter or that social status, and you separate from that social fabric or from that unit, and you're alone, it can get very difficult.
yeah.
So make sure you have your support system around you, which will not isolate you, from the rest of the world. But yes, don't take shit from anyone.
Yeah.
Super.
I think,
Farida, moving on to
yeah,
you.
I think
One-liner.
I think you've put that really nicely. I guess like my one-liner would be quite similar to yours, and mine was more like, I think people just need to do what's best for themselves rather than worrying about what their family, friends, or society would say, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one that has to wake up every morning. It's not somebody else's life. And I think that's very similar to what you were saying too.
I just have a tiny tweak into it, although it might sound very superimposed. I would just say that a divorce or separation is not the end of the world. So don't think that it's the end. I'm blank after this. You have the whole life in front of you, so it's not
Yep.
the end of the world. And I have to say this to the parents of the girls, to the parents of the boys, please don't force a toxic marriage on your children. Let them be free because they need to be themselves. They don't have to feel the burden just because you got them married to a family and your prestige is at stake. Having said that, Indu, again, a big round of thanks to you. We can't thank
Thank
you enough
you,
for
Vicky.
being so open, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to us tonight will take so much of inspiration from you because of your story that you shared. All the
That
best
was
to you.
honest as it comes, as honest as it comes. I haven't scripted anything, it's just my life story.
That's exactly
Yep.
what we
That's the
wanted.
best way.
Wish you all the best moving forward, Indu, and the same to your son as well. We wish him all the best. And to our listeners, any thoughts or feedback, please reach out to us at coconutchats@gmail.com. And please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Coconut Chats. We'll be back again soon with another interesting episode for you all to have a listen to. Till then, stay safe, stay well, and keep loving everyone around you. With that, we bid goodbye for now. Thank you and bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.